supportive, and everything you've ever needed. Because all we need to do is give you permission for you to be you.
Oh my goodness.
When you know who you are, you'll know what to do.
That's amazing.
This moment, you've been waiting for this your whole life.
Oh my goodness, I wish I was in the same room because I just want to hug you.
You can't fix a problem using the same thinking that created it. And by the way, beautiful, you didn't do anything wrong.
Thank you.
Your show is not a show, it's an experience.
What do you do, Stephen?
I'm a universal courier that's been sent to answer your doubt.
Thank you.
What the heck is happening right now?
And it's happening live.
My life's about the gift I've been given to make you the gift that you are.
Ready cameras, studio standby.
Video is ready for live.
If I enter your life, it will change. Start investing in the world called your dreams.
This is it. Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Inspiring Insights Show Season 2. I am Andrea Sanchez, host for the next hour, coming in from Houston, Texas. And alongside with me, we have the globe-trotting producer, Kelly, from Africa today. Amazing. Also have Stephen, of course, the man of the hour, all the way from Australia. We'll get back to you in a minute, Stephen. But our special guests and the ladies that will be asking the wonderful questions tonight, we have all the way from Luxembourg, and it's 1 a.m. Wow. So glad you're here. It's Omozua. Hello, Omozua. How are you?
Great to be here. I am thrilled.
So happy you're here as well. I love your energy. And then we have Glenda. Glenda all the way from Florida, sunny Florida, I hope. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. I'm truly honored to be here with all of you, and especially Stephen. I've heard so many great things about him from my friend Michelle, who happened to be on the show recently with you.
She was. Welcome
Yes.
to you both. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much. Hey, Omo, how you doing? Not in Manila.
I am good.
Australia. Andrea?
So good to see you.
Beautiful. I also want to do a special shout out to Melody, who's backstage doing a wonderful production. Must do things with the production to keep things running smoother, all the way from Boston. So Melody, I know you can see us. Hello and thank you. So Stephen, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm really, really good. Everyone, in this first show, we talked about people come into your life for a reason, season, and a lifetime. Then the following show, we talked about you can often know what people are doing, what people are saying, what people are behaving, but you don't know why. And we used the example of the gentleman with his 2 children being very disruptive on a train, so much so that someone challenged the guy to calm his kids down, and his why was, the children's mother's funeral's just completed and I don't know how to tell the kids mum's never coming home. So the second thing we talked about in episode 2 was you don't know why someone is doing what they're doing. So take caution in being hasty before you understand the why. This week, I wanted to sort of go full circle on this and talk to you about the concept of recognition and what are the 3 ways that you create recognition for the reason, the season, or the lifetime someone's come into your life, because you don't need to work out why they came, why they stayed, or why they left. You need to work out who you became because of their involvement with you. So recognition comes in 3 forms. What impact is someone having on you? And what are you actually doing with that impact? And then how are you applying that in your everyday life? So Andrea, for example, is now the ambassador of Humans First. So how grateful am I that she also hosts this show? Kelly has production background, recently sending me pictures of her being a dinner guest with Mark Wahlberg, of all people. And Kelly now has actually dedicated her Wednesdays in wherever she is in America to help me. Same with Melody. Melody's of an age where people are trying to say that maybe she should slow down, and she's sparking up her life, and she's now the production assistant of the Desadi Group. So everyone, focus on how you recognize what someone's doing, the impact it's having on you, and then tell them how you're applying that impact. That is the truest form of recognition for the people that come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime? Andrea?
A reason, a season, or a lifetime. So true, Stephen. And I love your point about really acknowledging the recognition and letting people know that they have had an impact on you. Because sometimes you never know. You may go about your own way and you impacted others without even realizing it. So thank you for that, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Who's ready to get started?
All of us.
Because all we need to do is give you permission for you to be you.
Oh my goodness.
My life's about the gift I've been given to make you the gift that you are.
That is amazing. Wow.
Wonderful.
Boom.
We are ready to get started. Ready to get started with Fostering Forgiveness, episode 3, masterclass. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, everyone, for those of you that have been with us for the first couple of shows, which were basically pilots, because there's a lot of mechanics that goes on in the background to get the show to run the way it does. And we've got people in Houston and people in LA or Dallas, wherever Kelly is at any particular time. So there's multiple locations and 8 different elements that are going on. So the first couple of shows were pilots. Fostering Forgiveness is today's masterclass, but it's part of, next slide, Kelly, it's part of this whole thing called the atonement cycle. The atonement cycle is 5 stages, and the next 5 weeks of the show are going to be about fostering forgiveness, trusting self to let go, confidence to give, your story seduction, and embracing your light. Because the concept of atonement is to make things right. And everyone, you're either correcting something in your life or alternately, you're actually aspiring to make better in your life, which is what atonement is. So fostering forgiveness, let me stick the screen on full so I can see it on my side, Kelly. Fostering forgiveness is, fostering is to promote the growth, development, to further and to encourage. Forgiveness is to cease feeling resentment against, to pardon, or to cancel. So in Sadieland, fostering forgiveness, listen to this, everyone, is to promote the growth of pardoning your resentment. Next one's Kelly. Unless I tell you to stop, Kelly, just go, as soon as I finish reading them out, just go to the next one. Forgiveness, everyone, everyone's heard this, it's a staple in Sadieland. Forgiveness is a commitment, it is not a feeling. And feelings are emotional states of internal and external perceptions. Very important to realize that. So commitments are the foundation states of who we are, what we hold to be our truth. Our truth is based on our commitments. And those commitments are regardless of the internal and external circumstances that have tried, listen to this, everyone, the internal and external circumstances that have tried to convince you otherwise. It's called opinion. So to foster is to commit beyond yourself. And to foster forgiveness is to anchor to who we have always been. In Sadieland, we call this your towers of expertise, and inside the Institute and the Academy class of Mind, Sight, Mastery, probably one of the most talked about and one of the most recognized, recognized classes of all of my academy is your towers of expertise. So whether you're a C-suite, pardon my throat, everyone, whether you're a C-suite, an entrepreneur, whether you're in the discrimination field, whether you're a producer or a creator, your towers are anchored into your childhood. Now, I know a lot of people will rattle off about values and beliefs and characteristics, and I can talk about that, and I understand that, and it's true. But your towers of expertise are anchored into your childhood, beyond your values, beyond your principles, beyond your character. This is why, as children, listen to this, everyone, as children, we float above anger, resentment, and past hurts. We forgave back then so very easily. And for those of you that are parents and around children, you'll understand that in your everyday life. As children, we commit to behaviours. As adults, we evaluate our losses. As adults, we've become, and this is probably one of the most powerful statements for season 2, as adults, we've become strangers to our instinct and intuition. Loss distorts our, this is pretty deep, this series, everyone. Loss distorts our reality. A distorted reality impacts our perception. false perception fuels our judgment. Judgment rules our thoughts. Our thoughts become things, and these things become our actual reality. So be really careful that your reality is not a perception of your loss, which is fueling false judgments, which is creating thoughts that eventually become your things. Have you ever noticed, hold for a sec, Kelly, have you ever noticed that people that are constantly and totally focused on how hard my life is keep manifesting things into their reality of hardness because their thoughts become things? A child's reality is grounded in faith and hope. As adults, our reality is by fostering forgiveness, by promoting the growth of pardoning your resentment, which is often to do with things that you've done well or done poorly in the past. So Desadi Takeouts, as always, 3 questions. When you forgive, do you notice it's in faith and hope? When you commit, have you noticed that it's in with faith and hope? And here's the kicker, everyone. Your anger and resentment is void of faith and hope. So the big takeaway for all of this is how much of your life is based on faith and hope instead of past resentment and anger. Andrea?
Wow. That really resonated with me. Question number 3, your anger, resentment being void of faith and hope. Yep. It's interesting because when you were talking about how our towers of expertise are really embedded into who we are as children and when we're born. And so it's ironic that as we grow older, we're seeing that only adults can do certain things. Only adults are labeled as having expertise in doing things or grown up to do certain things. But if you really think about it, children are the one that have it mostly together because they haven't disembarked from their towers of expertise. They are really living in the true meaning of who they are before all these internal and external perspectives go and try to sabotage their mind, which, like a lot of us, happened to me. And so I find myself now in the journey of digging back and really trying to find more of that inner child and fostering, as you mentioned, looking back at what is me, what is the real me, how is that real me trying to achieve what she's meant to do in her life. And that's a whole other level of thinking.
Yeah, towers of expertise really quickly on this. My towers of expertise, because a lot of people will go to values and beliefs and then dive into Myers-Briggs and all those things. Nothing wrong with all of that. But here's my towers of expertise. When I was very small, I was in an environment where I was the 5th son of a family and they wanted to have a girl and not a boy and all those types of things. So I never felt neglected, but I didn't particularly feel loved, but because I was the 5th try at getting something and I wasn't what they ordered. So the end result is I was very visual in everything that I did. I was very mobile. I was always very imaginary in terms of just doing things. I worked out very quickly that I needed to be quite distinctive if I was to stand out, and I needed to lead myself because I was always by myself. Roll forward too many years, I'm prepared to claim on the show this evening, I now run a business called the Desadi Group, Desadi Land. It's very mobile. I do videos for a living. I'm very distinctive in the way I do everything, and I'm called a leader and some very kind things by people. The reason, everyone, it's so easy for me to be so convicted, so passionate, and so relentless in what I do is the little boy Steve is now mobile, visual, distinctive, and leading an organization called Desadi Land. And if I enter your life, it will change because I'm just being who I was when I was 5, 6, and 7. Most people have forgotten who they were. And when I enter your life, I connect you back to who your childlike wonder was. And everyone goes, I've never met anyone quite like you. And they're not talking about me. Andrea?
That is so true, Stephen. I know you've definitely done that for me. I have been reacquainted with my inner child since I've met you. So I really value that. Now it's time for the moment we've been waiting for. It's time for our questions. Are you ladies ready?
Yes.
Let's have Omozua. Let's go first.
Okay. So one of my questions is, with companies and organizations now calling for people to come back to work, get ready yesterday. vaccinations rolling out, and then these strong calls to sort of get back to a certain kind of normality. And from conversations that I have had with people of this, there's a sense of a rising sense of displacement and confusion going on, which I can relate to, feeling not ready, feeling I've just gotten used to 1 year of doing this whatever and being strong in that. My question is, how can we humans feel and be prepared from within, being able to activate that golden key of courage, confidence that everything will be okay as we move forward into the months and years ahead of us?
Okay. Couple of things, and it's okay if I call you Omo. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yes,
and the only reason I'm saying that is you actually said that I could when we spoke.
I know.
We had a.
I always try.
I can, yeah. Well, you started it. When we spoke in the Shangri-La of in Manila in the middle of the night for me, early morning for you. Please tell me someone hasn't texted me again, have they, Kelly? Has the board gone off? Is the board there, Kelly? Hang on.
Yes, the board is there.
Okay, drop the board down when you get a chance. Bear with us, everyone. I'm in fairness to Andrea and Kelly, every time the show starts the following week, I've done something else to change it. Although I'm trying to keep to some standards. But in the context, Omo, of what you're saying, if you just drag it in, Kelly, there you go. Number one, in the context of normal, Omo, just a couple of things. In the context of normal, and people have heard me say this on the show, you can't go back to where you've never been. You can't go back to where you've never been. Examples: you were once single, then you courted, then you got into a relationship, then you got married, then you have children. No matter how hard you try, whether sadly the marriage is successful or not, you can't go back to being single if you've once been married and you now have children. So once you're a parent forever. The human species needs to understand that every single person in every generation, every culture, every creed, every sexual orientation, every single one of us has gone through this thing called COVID. And even though some parts of the world look as if they're coming out of it, other parts of the world are still in it. We here in Australia haven't had cases for 60, 70 days, and now all of a sudden there's an outbreak in Melbourne, and all of a sudden, oh my goodness, we're not that far away from it after all. We're not as over it as everyone thinks. We need to be careful. You can't go back to where you've never been. So the human race can't go back to what was pre-COVID normal. Listen to this, everyone. It doesn't exist. Pre-COVID does not exist. When Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, the human race was finally in a situation where we'd stepped on another planet, etc., etc., etc. So one of the things is you can't go back to where you've never been, first of all. And when people accept that, they can stop getting frustrated about what am I going to do and what's my constraint. The second thing, human beings are three things. We're very curious, we're very competitive, and we're very compassionate. So in 2020, we all got very compassionate. Guess why? Because we couldn't stand next to each other in a shopping centre. It felt really awkward when someone sneezed in the middle of last year and everyone looked at you as if you had leprosy. So we were very compassionate. So all of a sudden, compassion in 2020 came first. Curiosity came second, and competitiveness came third because we were now concerned for each other. Guess what's happened? Now that we're coming out of COVID, people are now curious about, guess what? How do I go back to normal? You don't. People are then getting very competitive. How do I actually make best use out of what I can do in the context of in this post-COVID world? And the compassion. How many people, if the news coming out of India was coming at us at the speed it is in April of last year, April 2020, the compassion to what's happening in India would be very, very different. Now we're almost a little frustrated that there's sporting events that are being restrained. Here in Australia, the top two football teams for the sort of first 10 games of the AFL, the Australian Football League, are playing in Melbourne this weekend, and there's every expectation that they won't be allowed to have a crowd. And guess what? People are really annoyed about it. Last year, it was accepted that you couldn't go to sporting events. This year, it's not. So, Omo, number one, you need to actually get people to start being curious about not the new norm, but the new present. So when you're talking with people, it's the new present. And it goes back to what I said at the my opening remarks. You can constantly talk about the past, and you can reflect on the past, and then you can have thoughts that are projecting into the future. But the game of life is played in the present. Example, Elon Musk sends rockets up into space. They come back down and they crash. Everyone from NASA of the past says, what a failure. Everyone goes, how's this going to be a business in the future? And Elon Musk is jumping up on the grass out front of wherever, Florida somewhere, saying, look at what we've learned as to how not to crash next time. So the first thing you need to do is get people to be curious about what the new present is, as opposed to be curious about how do I get back? How do I get back? So that's the very first thing that you need to focus on. When is this happening in your world? Omo, and give me a circumstance and scenario of when this is happening in your world. Is it in business, it is in life, or is it in everything?
I would say it feels more in business, and then also, you know, this going back, and everybody wants to, like you said, going back to this past,
yep.
Which I find absolutely off track, to be honest, because it just feels like we've created this new way of being. And I love what you said about we've felt compassion in a way that we didn't have to feel before, and now everybody wants to just like get on track. I remember when you and I talked last, there was that discussion about, you know, being on the platform and watching a train go by. Are you on the train? Are you in the train? Are you waving? And I feel like everybody wants to get back on track by all means possible. So for me, it's like, I feel there's a part of me that knows, okay, I've got my first shot of vaccination. But then there's a part of me, a greater part, that just says, I can still stay home nice and comfy and safe till October.
Yep.
You know, I'm just honest, you know, and doing everything. Yeah. So that's where I feel, I know that I don't want to go back to the past, because I do sense that's not possible. And I don't want it, but it's also like, how do you go forward? You know? Resiliently.
It's interesting you say that. There's a thing coming out for Desadey, inside of Desadey land in the soul shifting community, which it's going to say it begins. Kelly and I have been chatting about it, as with Andrea. It stands for intentional tenacity. Intentional tenacity. So a couple of things to think of. I need a whiteboard that's got a spell checker. Anyway, I always write these things down. I go, is that how you write curious? I don't know, but it is now. It's my whiteboard, everyone. Projection. There's three things that you need to do. And in context of what we're doing with Desadey 2023. Right now, I have no idea how many people are watching the show, but I guarantee the amount of work that goes in to create this show, and you know that from the experience of all the stuff that you received leading up to it, the amount of work that goes in this show, if I was to glance up into the details of who's watching right now and see that it's not going viral, I'd be really devastated, but I'm not. First question for you, Omo, and everyone watching, what are you projecting for 2023? Write this down, everyone. If it isn't a problem in 2 years, it isn't a problem now. If it isn't a problem in 2 weeks, it isn't a problem now. If it isn't a problem in 2 months, it isn't a problem now. Right now, with Andrea, Kelly, Melody, Ambassador Michelle's help, we are building Desadey 2023. I don't care if no one's watching right now, because we're building Desadey 2023. I hope people are watching, but I'm not going to be stopped by number one. Your projection is, where do you want to be in 2 years, Omo? Number two, what activity are you actually engaged in right now, including your rockets just blowing up on the pad because you're learning. The second thing on projection. So number one on projection is, what is your current activity based on your 2023 ambition? Number two, what is your current structure based on your activity, based on your 2023 ambition? And number three, what's your example? What's your example of the structure of the activity of your projection of 2023? Now, for those of you that are parents, how much activity, structure, and example are you projecting for your children for when they get to 6, to 10, to 16, to 20? I know Andrea, for example, is a few months away from her beautiful daughter heading off to college, as I understand the American system. Andrea has had a certain sense of activity, structure, and example from when her daughter first arrived, and even for herself about the activity and structure and example the mum's going to have to put up with when her little girl all of a sudden is a young woman going off to college. So number one, everyone, what activity are you projecting for your 2023 ambition? Number two, what structure around that activity is for your 2023 projection? What example to the structure of activity is your projection for 2023? When you do that, your present and your dialogue now replaces other people going, yeah, but how do I go back to the new norm? How do I go back to the new norm, Steve? How do I go back to work? This is my activity. This is my structure. This is my example. And with intentional tenacity, it begins right now. Andrea?
That's so true, Stephen. It's all about projection. Mindset is another word that comes to mind. And really, and to your question, Owen, which I thought was a very, very timely one, helping so many people right now, is when you think about the normal, I guess I think, was there ever a normal? Or is there, who defines what's normal? I know society tries to implement all these things on us and on life and how we should live. And some people are checkbox livers, what I like to call, because they checkbox on all the things that society expects them to do in their life. But when I think about it now, I realize that the normal has always been here in my heart. So maybe it's not just about thinking about what the new normal is, but feeling. And you know the answer all along. It's whatever makes you, whatever makes you excited to get up in the day. I love what you said, Stephen, about curiosity, competitiveness, and compassion. Maybe you don't have to be the person that prioritizes compassion and makes it one of the last pillars now because it's the new normal. Maybe you've always lived compassion as your priority. And then no one says you can't continue to do so. So your new normal, I think, in my opinion, is personal.
Indeed. Just down on the board, Kelly, just as a wrap up, Omo, for this, everyone, normal is the reference point for either opinion or growth because time never stops. Everyone talks about normal as if it's a pause. No, this normal in the past, this normal in the present, and this normal, by the time I've gone across the width of the board, the clock's ticking, the clock's ticking, the clock's ticking. It never stops. Normal is most people's reference point for opinion. An opinion is I used to be able to go to the football in 2020, example here in Australia. I can't go now. Normal is I used to be able to go to work every day. Now I actually have to wait until October. Time doesn't stop. COVID never asked permission to influence the way humanity behaved. Normal is the reference point for two things. Losers will see it as a reference point for opinion. Winners will see it for a reference point of growth. How many people who are iconic influencers and impactors in the world are so present to the value of their time, while most people are using their time to immerse in the opinion addiction of, do you think I'm okay? Can you like and share me? Andrea?
Wow, that summed it up really nicely for me, Stephen, as well. Did we get your question answered? Oh, no.
Absolutely. Very soothing. I found that very comforting to know that it's really important to be intentional about the thought and to make sure that whatever it is you're doing now is connected to that, like he said, the projection 2 years from now, and not into the little nitbits of I'm going forwards, but worrying, will I survive the next step?
Exactly.
Yeah, but Imo, the biggest thing is, what is it that you want 2 years out? What is it that you want 2 months out? What is it that you want 2 weeks out?
Yeah.
What does that look like? Well, I'm a C-suite executive and I'm sitting in my fancy corner office, and all of a sudden I get a phone call to say that my little girl has been, and this happened sadly in a very, very elaborate environment when I was based in London as a very high paid consultant. And the gentleman who was leading this counter-terrorism and biometric thing in the UK for the Foreign Office and Homeland Security, so it was big stuff. 4 or 5 weeks after the London bombings, he got a phone call to say that his daughter had run around behind the bus and got knocked over. He left that meeting as if it was irrelevant. So everyone, inspired by Omo, as a gift from her to all of you, What is so important to you in 2 years' time that you haven't got time to negotiate with someone else's opinion who doesn't like the fact that we've entered into a new era of humanity called post-COVID? Omo, your job is to be an example for all of those people like Andrea, Kelly and I, and Melody, who see your beaming smile and want to know what you're on because we need some of it. Go and apply what you've learned today and stop worrying about whether anyone else believes in your projection, because I believe in it. Beautiful.
Thank you. Love that.
You're welcome, gorgeous. Andrea?
Why is this show an experience?
And not just a show.
I can answer that with a question. How brave are you?
What happens?
On this show,
You muster up your courage, any of you,
And you go live in front of the world.
and you ask a question of vulnerability that you struggle with.
You are given the awareness you need from the universe.
Through Stephen of how you can handle the struggle.
Can you?
Handle doing that?
Can you?
Because this is your chance personally.
the courage you put into it.
Is equal to the value you get out of it.
Do you have what it takes inside of you to change your life? Only you can decide.
What is your struggle?
And how big is your courage to move through it?
You have no idea what this experience can do for you.
Stephen has a gift
That you can experience.
But only if you have the courage to go live.
Your life will contract.
And expand.
Based on your courage.
This could be your step to expand.
You can. We all did.
Yes, we all did. Welcome back. And whoa, what a great way to start. Powerful question from Omo. So now we have guest number 2, Glenda. Are you ready for your question?
I am.
Let
And
me-
actually, my question has to do more for personally myself. I've always struggled with self-esteem and feeling inferior to others. And something that actually happened to me over the past 12 years, after going out and having back surgery, I was unable to return to my career right away and wound up on disability. And was on disability up until January of this year, because what I found was I had convinced myself over the past several years that I was too old, nobody would hire me, and that I didn't have any choices left in life. Fortunately, I did connect with a life coach on LinkedIn who she and I had some things in common and ended up going through therapy with her, a 3-month therapy last year. And within 3 months, she basically had me back at work, back in a career, and living life again. But it's just something that I've always struggled with. And I want to understand it more and make sure I never get caught up in my head again, telling myself these stories. And I know so many people suffer with the same types of things, with the stories that we tell ourselves, which stop us from living our lives.
It makes you be the breathing dead, basically. And we've all done it. We've all done it in huge ways, all of us. If you think of, and down on the board, Kelly, if you think of the stuff that you've talked about, first of all, you need to be really careful about your language. We could do this in many different ways. We're going to do it this way. You talked about self-esteem, and we'll come to that as we flow through this. You need to focus on special circumstances. Michelle's daughter, Peyton, for example, constantly gets told that she's a special needs child. I got special needs. You've got special needs. Kelly, everybody, Melody, Andrea, everyone's got special needs. Andrea's beautiful daughter's got specific special needs leading up to the next few months of her life as she traverses into the whole concept of college, as I understand it in America, which is slightly different here in Australia. Everyone has special needs. We need to switch off from the boxes of language that people put us in and start talking about the special circumstances. Secondly, your language around no one will hire me and the opinion of other people's judgment is the reason that you gave yourself permission to think less of yourself, not more of yourself. Real simple stuff. Self-esteem is an evaluation of what box you put yourself in, what language you use in that box, That language then determines, remember, special circumstances is go back to what I said in the masterclass. Special circumstances is interpretation of loss. I had a special event, and you might not think it was special in the context of what happened, but it was a particular event in life. See, to me, special is either positive or minus or negative. It's both. The fact that my parents didn't want a fifth son, they wanted a girl, and every single 18th and 21st birthday, all I ever heard of is we couldn't grow one without a tail. I turned that negative into a positive because I wouldn't be this relentless if it wasn't for two things: the gift they gave me and the understanding of how I had to live with doubt for 50 years before I worked out how doubt is now my platform to serve from. So first thing, forget about the special event and talk about special circumstance. Forget about the language and start calling about a special circumstance that has given me, guess what, Glenda, how much more resilience do you have on the other side of what happened to you? Because you've got two choices. You can either regret it or you can embrace it.
I've embraced it and I've moved on, and life is very good at this point. And I think you empowered me even more with answering the other question, with looking at it from the perspective of what's going on today, and is that really going to be impacting my life 2 years from now? Because it's not.
Yes. A lot of people will take special circumstances and call it loss. They'll actually be fitting in the box of special needs. Peyton has got so much special needs, according to the professionals, she'll go to a playground and see another child who needs her help and go over and be a leader and an example of it, because she's starting to learn the ability to express herself, because the circumstances of her journey at this stage of her life is now becoming an asset to other people who might be going through the same thing. Renee, for example, who was on in season 1, she had a very special set of circumstances which were extremely brutal for a 10-year-old girl in her own home. She now is a relentless example of what it's like to be able to burn through some very, very bad childhood abuse that I won't go into now. And her special circumstances of loss have now become a platform. So there's two things you can do in your life, Glenda. You can actually look at the past, pick out all of those burdens and place them as hurdles into your future. Or you can look at all of those burdens from the past and place them as platforms to now serve from. The reason everyone says so many kind things about me, the reason I have some amazing people around me like Andrea and Kelly and Melody and Michelle and the rest of the Sadieland community of soul shifters, is because they all say wondrous things about me, and all I had to do was spend 50 years of my life turning my negative into a positive. And now my platform is complete and utter relentlessness. There is nothing you can do that will stop me. And here's the thing, Glenda, and this is from season 1, everyone's heard this. Said with lots of love, but hear this with the way it's intended. I don't care what you think about me. You know why? Because I'm so focused on caring about you. I'm so focused about your welfare. I haven't got time to worry about whether you think it's good, bad, or indifferent, whether Steve's going to say something offensive, whether Steve's going to hurt me. What does he want from me? I want the best for you so much, I haven't got time to worry about whether you think you need caution around me. So here's the line. I don't care what you think about me, but boy, oh boy, do I sure care what you think about you. So number one, your loss of that special circumstance has become a platform for you to serve from. You now need to associate that platform is bring it on. So the next time your ego, which is going to try and protect you and flood you with all of these doubts, the next time that happens, bring it on. Because what are they going to do? Take the love of my life away, take all my houses away, take all my money away, make me go bankrupt, have me suicidal and attempt it, basically lose my family and become an orphan. What are they going to do to me? So number one, your special circumstances is a platform. And when your ego goes, oh, you know, how am I going to handle this? And your self-esteem, which some people think is their ego in disguise, oh, I can't do this, says Glenda, little Glenda says to big Glenda inside her head. I want you to respond, bring it on. Because I'm still here, bring it on. So every time your ego in the form, and because people are going to politely say, it's your self-esteem. No, it's not. It's your ego. Your ego's got two jobs, to keep you right and to keep you protected. Think of the most egotistical person you know. They always want to be right, and they never put themselves in a position of being at risk. Never. You want to get an egotistical person to shut up and get them to step outside of their comfort zone, and they'll shut down. You want to see me around egotistical people, they turn into mutes inside of 30 seconds. And I'm not being rude to them. I just get them to step out of their ego zone of, I know everything. And they shut down. So your self-esteem, sometimes people think is your ego in disguise. No, it's not. Your self-esteem, listen to this, Glenda, your self-esteem is the acceptance of the positivity of the most brutal thing that happened in your life, languaging it as a platform to serve from, and tell your ego every time it tries to fear you into stopping, bring it on. Because I lost everything and now I have everything. Andrea?
Bring it on indeed. Something else I like to say to my ego is stop it. Actually, nicely first say, I acknowledge you. I know you're there, but stop it. So, and it works. It does work. I mean, sometimes I have to say it tons of times a day, but it works. Something I wanted to say, I love what you just said, Stephen, and about little Glenda, actually. So Glenda, I wanted for you to picture this. Imagine little Glenda there with her glasses, blue shirt, similar to, of course, what you look like now. And all of a sudden you're a passerby, and she's saying, I can't do this. I'm so bad at school. I'm just horrible. I'm not smart. I can't do my presentation. No one will want to listen to me. Would you go and agree with her? Would you say, you're absolutely right? Why would anyone want to listen to you? Why would anyone want to be your friend? Would you say that? If you were a passerby? Probably not. So why do you say it to yourself? You are saying it to yourself. That's a lesson I had to learn and continuously remind myself of, because I'm in the exact same position as you are. I can relate to your question a lot. So just thinking of my little child helps me. Hope it helps you.
It does. That's very powerful.
It's very true. Kelly? Your inner voice, Glenda, and this is a gift from Glenda to everyone. Your inner voice will do two things in your life, and you've got a third option. Your inner voice is going to be that whisper of doubt. You know, that it's almost like a little sly fox. It's going to come into your head and whisper very quietly, you're a loser. You can't do this, Steve. You're a loser. Hey, Steve, look, you haven't gone viral yet. You make this amazing show. What's the matter? That's what happens. It happens to me every day. Sometimes while people are going, Steve, you're amazing. That's wonderful. I really appreciate it. I've heard so many things about you. In the back of my head, I can hear this little whisper. Yeah, but you're a loser. It's life. It's just the way that it is. Number one, it will be a whisper of doubt, like a sly little fox whispering in the back of your mind. Or it'll be a roar of conviction. Mm-hmm. Guess what? You choose.
You choose, yeah.
You choose. You choose whether you're going to have RAW. And guess what RAW stands for? You're real, organic, authentic reality.
Wow.
What is your real, organic, authentic reality? What is it? Remembering your reality is based on what your thoughts are. Your thoughts is based on your judgment. Your judgment is interpreted by your perception. And your perception is about how you either seduce, embrace, or eliminate loss in your life. Your roar of conviction is your real, organic, authentic reality of what are you prepared to do, not based on what happened, not based on what's going to happen, but what you're going to do to make it happen right now. Because that's either an excuse or it's a platform to serve from. You choose. And when you choose wisely, people like myself, Andrea, Kelly, Bellady, Michelle, come ask you to come speak to me, because if I enter your life, it will change. Andrea?
It will change for sure. Glenda, how are you feeling?
I feel fantastic. I feel more empowered than ever to feel that inner roar, the conviction, and to take the platform. And I love speaking. And I tell my story every chance I get on LinkedIn or wherever I have a chance to share it, because I want to encourage others that have gone through similar situations to take their life back, and to get the help to take their life back, and not to accept the stories in their head.
That's beautiful. We lost you a little bit there, Brenda. But
I do try to empower others to take back what they want every chance I get, because it stole 12 years of my life. It can't have any more.
Okay. Glenda, I love you to bits, gorgeous. If you're a friend of Michelle, Harwood Lang, then you're a superstar. Is that how you spell stole? It is now. You just said the word stole. You said try, and you said hope. Remember what I said about language?
Yes.
Stop it. I tell my story. If you're telling your story with words of stole, try, and hope, you're going to attract a community of people who are immersing themselves in the same thing. Nothing got stolen to you. Here, and I said this to Renee, and if you're watching Renee, hey, beautiful, I said this to Renee, and I'm not going to go into the details. You can go to her website and find out her profile, and you'll know her story because she shares it openly, but I'm not going to share it here. I want you, and I said this in the context of people on the show, people who are actually on the show right now and helping me, to Renee, I want you to turn the biggest burden of your life. And when you understand some of the early circumstances of Renee's life, this was a big call for me to say this to her. I want the biggest hardship, the biggest disappointment, the biggest slap in the mouth you've ever received. Sorry to say that to ladies. When life punches you in the soul and takes your breath away, I want you to be able to sit back and go, it was a gift that I wasn't what they ordered. It was a gift that I tried to commit suicide and survived. It was a gift that I lost the love of my life in my marriage, even though every day I miss it. Glenda, make what happened to you a gift, and all of a sudden you won't talk. How often do you talk about trying to accept a gift? How often do you talk about trying to having a gift stolen from you? You don't. I want you to accept what's happened to you. And everyone, this is a gift from Omo and a gift from Glenda. Every single thing that's happened to your life that's a punch in the face and a punch in your soul, make a gift and watch how humanity comes running towards you. Andrea?
Powerful. Gifts surely do come in unexpected packages, that's for sure. So we need to embrace those moments, as Stephen mentioned. I know I have several gifts that I'm currently opening myself. So great questions. What a show. Beautiful how they all tie into similar concepts. So how can people learn more, Stephen, if they want to continue this experience?
Ask Kelly.
Welcome to Soul Evolution, Institute plus Academy plus one-to-one coaching, future state mapping, discovery to execution, assets assignment, and marquee marketing. Future state mapping takes into account a number of different classes from inside the Institute. Discovery to execution, behavioral marketing, how to build and develop content. It also provides you with all of the assets and all of the tools that I use to build and develop my brand. Assets assignment, my academy class, your expertise everywhere. How do you assemble and package everything about your brand? Whether you're active in creating online content or whether your brand and your business and services is offline. And then finally, defining marquee as leading and preeminent. How do you create a marquee look, marquee social, marquee content, marquee message, and marquee community? And there's a number of courses inside the Academy that provide this. As always, there'll be a set number of sessions you'll have with me. If you haven't done the pre-work, don't come to the session. It's a workshop, it's not a talk shop, it's to get things done. Be well and be brilliant, and I'll see you inside of Soul Evolution.
Kelly, drop down on the board for a second. Everyone, every single thing that I create, everything, after 30 odd years traveling all over the world and living in more countries than I can remember, everything I do is boiled down to three things: creating clarity, creating confidence, and enabling you to be creative. And it's what we call the awakening paths. Something Kelly said to me during the week. It's almost working with you and being around you, Steve, is almost like it's clearing a pathway. When you have clarity in your life, and most people don't, and if you think of the questions both of you have asked me, people don't have clarity in their life. Most people's form of clarity is to go out and actually seek opinion, like, comment, and share. And if you like me, enough, I'll believe in myself rather than I don't care what you think. I know I like me. I've got the clarity. So we give people clarity, we give people unbelievable confidence, and then from that place, they start enabling themselves to be creative based on their confident clarity. in the creativity of the awakening of who they are. Everything that I do is to create an experience that you have never, ever felt or seen before. And as Omo and Glenda would know, have you ever led into a live show quite like what you have been sent? And we haven't even got started yet. Everyone, the most unique thing on the planet is you, and I'm coming for you, and you're welcome to join me on Clarity, Confidence and Creativity for less than $1.50 a day. What is your life worth? Because I'm going to change it if I come into it. Andrea?
He definitely will. Anu and Glenda, are you in on this? Are you in?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's already your questions have not only I can see helped you, but have also helped me and for those watching. So this is a shift in to humanity, actually, if you think about it. Empowering others to be truly themselves and all their gifts, embracing them. Now it's time. Stephen, any last words before we go into the coveted last round of the show?
The bit that I've got to do, the whatever it is, the last bit. No, I just, what is your life worth? And this isn't a pitch for you to buy anything, right? Just to be clear on that. There's three things. In fact, I will finish on this. Thank you for tossing this one up, Andrea. Everyone. Warren Buffett was asked, and I won't do this on the whiteboard, I'll just do a one-to-one with you personally. So I'm speaking to you. Warren Buffett was asked, what are the three things you look for when you hire someone? And he said, that's simple: integrity, intelligence, and hard work. But then he said, if you don't have the first, the other two don't matter. Doesn't matter how hardworking, doesn't matter how much integrity you've got, how much intelligence you've got. If you don't have integrity to finish what you started, it doesn't matter how smart you are, it doesn't matter how much you're going to work. So I jumped on a plane from Manila, probably that time when I was there when we chatted, Omo, and I flew all the way back to Sydney, and I had two objectives: to have a couple of glasses of wine, not watch any movies like everyone else. I was going to write the name down of every human being that had come near me, personally, professionally, in my consulting life and in the Desaidi life that I do now, and ask myself, what are the common characteristics of all of them? Asking myself, if someone said to me, what's the characteristic of a Desaidi land soul shifter? They are three things. They all have something to fight for that's beyond money. They all have a self-belief to invest in, and they all have a work ethic to learn. But if you don't have the first, the other two don't matter. So sometimes people ring me up and say, Steve, it's really cool what you do. Can you help me to do videos? Here's all of this money, I'll pay you. And I'll ask them, what is it you're trying to do? Well, I want to get people. See ya. You could offer me $100,000 an hour, and if it wasn't for something that's beyond money, with your self-belief and your work ethic, I'll say no. I'll just say no. So everyone, this life you're living, you know, the one with the clock that never stops, you know, the one that you can't take back anything. What are you fighting for that's beyond money? Because if that's something that you have, we could help you. But if you're just finding where to get your next quota, there is thousands and thousands and thousands of posts every millisecond that will tell you how to go and get someone, but not become someone. Andrea?
So true. We are ready for our aha moments. So many all the time, so many. So I want to hear what, I know there's probably lots of takeaways, but what is your key takeaway that you had from the conversations today and from the questions that you've heard? Let's start with Omo.
That what I take away is, you know, I asked earlier about that golden key that you can activate in yourself for confidence, for courage. And what I take away now is that it is actually owning your personal responsibility. That's what I draw from that there's a responsibility that you need to commit to, that must fire you up so much that all the drama, all the little obstacles, moles, and whatever become almost, you know, you don't see them because you're so focused on something that fires you up, and that can take you forward, and it can build that resilience, right? The resilience that you need to just head on. I think that that's just wonderful to know. Yeah, there's we've got a role to play, personal responsibility, and doing work, focus on that, because that's what makes you thrive from within, I think. Yeah.
Wow. Andrea?
Andrea, you're muted.
If Andrea mutes, that means Minnie's gone off on one. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I have 3 dogs, and usually I don't mind if Minnie wants to add a few words, but they're all 3 going. So what you said, Omo, I can totally, I love it, because it's a whole shift of mindset. It's not only waiting for things to happen to you, but you making things happen. So you take accountability, you play a role in this life, not just wait for others to tell you what you need to do. I love that. What do you think, Stephen?
I'll come back to it. Keep going.
Cool, okay. Aha moment, Glenda.
I think the aha moment for me, probably more than one, was actually looking at what he said earlier about, is it a problem today? If it's not a problem today, then it's not a problem in 2023. And I think that's an incredible way to look at life, because sometimes we get stuck on these little things that we make into big problems that really, in the long run, are not big problems for us at all. And we need to look at them for what they are and recognize, are these really big problems for us? Are they even going to be around? Do I need to spend time really even focusing on them? And I think the other was choosing to take the platform and choosing to be who you are and who you want to be, and not to be silenced by the judgment of others, but to own who you are and to be resilient in that, and to quiet the voices in your head, and not get stuck on the voices in your head, and learn how to take that and to empower yourself rather than get stuck with it. Empower yourself to take the platform and move yourself forward in life. And I think that's very powerful, to be able to take the platform and move forward, and to be there to not only support yourself in thinking that way, but to support others and empower them to do the same thing.
Glenda, that is amazing. Like I can see like a whole shift in the way you're speaking from when you first came on and to now. I mean, did you hear what you said just now? I mean, it's so powerful, and I mean, you're being a true example of others that it's okay to be human, but there are ways to move beyond and really recognize your value. So I love that. Kelly, I'd love to hear from you. You're on mute now.
As long as I don't go on mute, we
It's
should be
my
all right.
turn. It's my turn to be on mute. So I love this so much. I took a screenshot of it with my phone. So normal is the reference point for the difference between opinion and growth, or the change. The words aren't on the board, so I'm not remembering exactly how it goes. But to me, that was so powerful. Just about, I mean, so many times well, this isn't normal. I can't do that because that's not normal. Or is this normal? Or is, I just love that perspective that if I'm growing and changing, then it's not going to be normal. If it's someone else's opinion of what I should or shouldn't be, or expectation of me, then that's not normal either. And both of those are okay. Both of those are good things.
Kelly, I love you not being normal. I think that's the way to go. That's what I aspire to be as well.
I don't want to be normal.
It's such great points. It's insights.
Taking a photo of the screen, that might be a first. Well done.
That gives me ideas, Stephen.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to take notes, but I can take photos.
Hey, listen, if you saw how many screenshots I do of webinars, so screenshot away, everyone. Andrea, your ahas.
Oh, yes. The biggest one for me that really opened up my thinking was the permission that I'm giving myself daily based on the words that I use and the opinions that I formed about myself, I did not realize that was equated to the permission and the things that I allow myself to do and not do. So that was really powerful and awakening for me. It's like I have a superpower that I didn't even know about. So thank you.
You're welcome. Omo's taken up the top of the board, so there's hardly any room down the bottom. It's all Omo's fault. It can't be mine. It cannot be mine. Omo, you said own. Living now, the responsibility of life, that in your last breath, it is only you that will be held accountable. In your last breath, it'll be you that will be held accountable. Because how many of us in that last breath of life are worrying the people that are around us, our loved ones and our cared ones, when we're loving that person who's entering that period that we're all going to have to go through? How many are wondering what likes and shares I got? How many are wondering about opinions? Omo, own living now, because the responsibilities of your life in your last breath, only you will hold yourself accountable for. Glenda, today is the game of life. You decide the plays, the strategies, the score, but you must pay the cost of winning or losing. So decide to play well and own the game of life. Kelly, normal is growth. You might want to. I'll send this one to you, Kelly. Yesterday is the classroom for tomorrow's execution. That's all yesterday is. Glance for 30 seconds at the lesson, embrace them and apply them. Goes back to what I said at the opening. And Andrea, daily words give you permission to create thoughts which generates your reality. So own living now, because you'll be held accountable when your time is done. The game of life is you, and you'll pay the cost of winning and losing. Normal is growth, so actually use yesterday's lessons in tomorrow's execution and have words of permission and thoughts to create a reality beyond your wildest dreams, and go make a difference in someone else's life. And my prayer, my hope through serendipity, God of the universe, is for you to be able to say this: if you enter someone's life, it's going to change. Andrea?
It surely is going to change. Wow, what a closing remarks there. The beautiful. Any last words from our guests? Opinions? Thoughts?
I am absolutely thrilled. It's great to be thrilled, and I'm going to go to bed, continue feeling thrilled, because
beautiful.
I know you just woke up, but it's very great to see that as people who go out and try to impact lives of others, that you always do this ecology check to make sure that you've connected your own dots and that you're operating not with gaps. So for me, that has been very fulfilling. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Omo.
Just a second, Andrea. Sorry.
Yeah.
Omo, drop it back onto the main screen for me, Kelly. Omo, and this is something I'll ask you as well, Glenda. So Andrea will do any last words. Omo, can I ask a favor of you as we continue to build the show? Could I ask you, not for a testimonial, I won't listen to these words, everyone out there. This is something I'm going to ask Omo, but like always, I'm going to teach something while I do it. Stop asking the world to give you a testimonial. Start asking the world to give you the impact. Omo, what is the impact of everything, from the way you receive the invitation to the impact of what this show has done? Not about whether it's all nice, not about whether Steve's got on a whiteboard, not about whether Kelly and Minnie and Andrea, forget about all of that. Listen to this, everyone. Stop asking for testimonials. Start asking for impact statements. Omo, if you come on full screen, what has the impact of this experience of being on the show been for you?
That it's absolutely okay to be nakedly human. Courageous and nakedly human. To really be, to see yourself, not playing a role, just being, because life is too short to play a role, to be honest. And to get your act together, not in the sense of hustling, doing, but actually seeing, like I said earlier, where are my gaps and what fulfills me from within? Because when that's complete and when those are connected and when it's just about being human, I can head on confidently and with resilience. Yeah.
Leave leave the shot there. Kelly, can you answer this question for me, Omo? What's the difference in Omo between before when you woke up this morning and when you wake up tomorrow morning based on what you've experienced today? What's the difference?
That I am I'm going to project everything I'm going to be doing will be projecting, as you said earlier on, with what is it that you want to achieve and what activities can you do to achieve it. So no drama, I would say. I think that when I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be operating with no drama, no stories.
Andrea, thank you, Omo.
What great words there. Oh my goodness. Everyone wants to wake up that way. Glenda, how about you?
I think my takeaway is I feel more empowered to own who I am, who I want to be, power, and to take the platform and live with that power and live within it.
Beautiful.
And just a quick one, Glenda, the lady you were this morning and the lady you will be tomorrow morning, based on the experience of coming onto our show and experiencing it, what's the impact and what's the difference, if you don't mind answering that question for me?
I think I feel, or I know maybe more who I am now, who I'm empowered to be, and to know that I can live within my true self, and I'm not going to listen to anyone else's judgments. I'm here for myself, to support myself, and to live into who I am and who I know I can be.
There's enough. If you have reflections on your own story, your own journey, and your own lessons, you'll have all the self-awareness, self-applause, and self-esteem that you need. Andrea?
Absolutely true, Stephen. Well, we've come to that part of the show, sadly. There's never enough time. We could keep going, but it is time to wrap up. It's the closing of our show. And Stephen, any last words before we head out?
Really, really simple. Be well and be brilliant. And go and actually make a difference in someone else's life. As simple as this. In about half an hour, when I've done a bit of a wrap up with the production team, I'll go to a coffee shop that's just around the corner from where I'm staying. I'll walk in and there'll be 5 or 6 people in front of me, and the 2 girls, Asian girls, because it's Chinatown around here, lovely, lovely girls. One of them will look up at me and call me Mr. Sir, because she called me Sir once, so I called her Madam. So she calls me Mr. Sir, I call her Miss Madam. And the other one smiles all the time, beautiful smile. So I call her Smiley, she calls me Mr. Smiley. I'll be 5 deep from the cash register, and they'll both look up and yell across at me. And everyone will look around, and what breaks my heart, everyone, is why am I the only one who's receiving that attention? You know why? Because I'm the only one who's giving them recognition. Go and recognize someone. Go and recognize them as being Miss Smiley or Miss Madam. Go and make a difference in someone else's life. How? Smile at them. Andrea?
Smile at them. A smile goes a long way. Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Now we can see next time. We hope you guys can join us next time again. And for those of you watching, we're here every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Central Time. We look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
Be well and be brilliant, everyone.
Thank you very much.